Alright, Dokovan stream again, this time for some Alden and FL MMe-Glam support, so let's begin. But first, a support card for Constrain, which is a double rare Morning Patience in the Calm Sea Tamora, which is a grade 2 when taking power on the skills. Auto, when placed on rearguard, if you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Constrain, cost Soul Blast 2 with different names. Search your deck for up to one grade 1 card that is not Sentinel, reveal it, and if you do not have a rearguard with the same name as that card, call that to rearguard, and that unit gets us 5k power. Basically another superior caller for Constrain, except it's restricted to grade 1s or less, and Soul Blasting 2 cards with different names isn't too bad considering that Constrain doesn't even really use Soul at all, so the cost is like really nothing. But anyway, second skill, Auto Regard. When this card attacks, if you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Constrain and your opponent's Vanguard is at least at grade 3 plus 5k, so being a 13k attacker on its own, which is also pretty nice, and also just lets you superior call, which is also pretty nice. I would say definitely run this at Constrain, at least 2 of. And then to the Dokovan stream stuff, here's the grade 3 alternate form Searcher for Cater, which is Knight of Great Blow Kinwell, which gains extra defensive value if your damage zone has 3 or more cards. By the way, try this card in Bastion and maybe Youthberg. And then to the Alden stuff, we start off with Heavenly Rising Dragon Linker Spear Dragon, which is grade 3 with power and discuss. Auto Regard. When a card is placed on top of this card, if you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Alden, choose one of your units and it gets plus 10k power in turn. It could help out with some of the power issues with some of your rear guards, although you do have a better card than this in a way, but this is the 13k attacker on its own, so it might still be worth running, especially for your first few attacks. Next is Fugol, which is a grade 1 with K power and discuss. Auto Regard. When another unit is placed on rear guard on the same column as this unit, it could be even on top of itself. Cost counter blast 1, choose one of your opponent's backward rear guards and retire it. And yes, you can activate this skill even if you place something on top of it. Basically, it's a removal card for any cater deck can use for a back row, and it can be nice if you need it, but only run it if you have space for it. And then finally, we got Knight of Heavenly Drive Deprise, which is grade 2 with taking power and discuss. Auto, when placed on rearguard by the ability of your Alden Vanguard, choose one of your other units, it gets us 5k power in turn. But if this card was placed on top of another unit, plus 10k instead. Basically more offensive play for Alden, and luckily this card doesn't need to be exactly placed on top of another unit, even though that will make it full power, but at least it's something. In which the second skill, Count Guardian. If you have at least a grade 3 Vanguard Alden, shield plus 5k. So basically as protection applies, we add some protection with some offense. Not too bad for what it does, since it does give some extra power and some defensive shield value, especially for a deck that kinda asks for it. And then for some FL MMe-Glam support, we start off with Heat of the Life Hasn't Cooled Imperial, which is a grade 2 with taking around the skill is Auto, when placed on rearguard or guardian, if you have a Vanguard that is FL MMe-Glam, this unit gets us 5k power and 5k shield for every 2 open rearguards. Not exactly what FL MMe-Glam needs, but it can be nice for some extra beating and some defense, especially if you're controlling your opponent's rearguards, but you're more likely to be bouncing your own stuff than that. And then we got Glowing Boss Neborili, which is grade 1 with power and discuss. Auto drop. When your FL MMe-Glam unit is retired on rearguard by a card ability, cost bind this unit, choose one of those retired cards and put it back to your hand. Keep in mind, yes, it could even be your own retiring abilities. Not like Lyrical really has those at the moment, but it's basically just here for some anti-control. But in that, I don't really think this is really worth running, maybe add a 2-up at most. But the next card is definitely worth running because it has FL MMe-Glam in name. FL MMe-Glam supporting guitar Grendlin, which is grade 2 with taking power and discuss. Auto, when placed on rearguard from hand, cost count blast 1, look at the number of cards from the top cards of your deck equal to the number of FL MMe-Glam units on the field. Choose a card from among them and put it to your hand and shuffle your deck. And keep in mind, you do not reveal the card, you just add it straight to your hand, which is very nice because a choice draw basically, which is of course going to be pretty powerful since you get to add something without your opponent's knowledge. But anyway, second skill, Act Rearguard. If you have at least a grade 3 FL MMe-Glam Vanguard, cost energy draws 2, retire this unit, you, the player, gets this skill. The original power of all your units that are FL MMe-Glam becomes 13k. Keep in mind, it says original power during the turn, so meaning that even your rear guards are going to be at least 13k attack each, which is going to be pretty nice. And because FL MMe-Glam playstyle, your Vanguard is going to turn into a grade 0, which is of course not going to be 13k, so just forcing it to be at 13k is just pretty nice. And now that last support card kind of makes sense because this is going to retire itself as well, so just being able to add this back to hand is just pretty nice, and you can loop back the first ability to basically do another search. So this is overall worth running. running, especially since it has FL in name. So that's it for this Dokkan stream. What do you guys think of it? Overall, it's just nice support. I mean, Alden is just pretty iffy in a way, but it is technically needed as well. FL on the other hand is that we got a new FL unit, which is of course one of the best cards to run in the deck, and also a card that can just help recycle it back, even though it's hard to understand at first until you look at the FL card itself. Overall, just cool stuff for those respective decks. But on that, that's it for this, and see you all next time.